Good morning. I am a Brazilian American, and so I am bringing to you today some images and stories and good news that comes from Brazil and the United States both. We don't get enough good news from either country, I feel. And so on behalf of my Brazilian smallholders and partners who are in Chile today, I hope to show you a bit of our work. Okay, so have a look at one of our planting sites. We have been doing regenerative, organic agroforestry in Brazil for the last 10 years. And I'm going to stress that word organic repeatedly, because the only caveat we've had when we've given trees to smallholders there is that they will not use pesticides, because we knew we had to bring the life back to the soil. So what you're seeing right now was a project that began 10 years ago when I delivered the first, or had the delivery made, of the first 1,000 trees that were given to smallholders in an area called Cunha, which is in the state of Sao Paulo. And in this particular project, local people came on horseback with their Volkswagens and trucks and collected trees from our delivery site. And our trees had all been grown by local entrepreneurs who ran native species tree nurseries. Now, this particular site that I love to show as an example was an eco-village that was using permaculture practices. So this is a former cow pasture that had been fenced off, where they had allowed the natural vegetation to return. And so look at that beautiful soil. This is the bed into which the trees we gave were being planted. It was just the ultimate best atmosphere. And in the beginning, our project was mainly funded by American school children who would put on bake sales and do benefit concerts to raise money so that I could buy trees to give them to the smallholders in Brazil. And their school children also picked up the cause and started donating as well. So it's largely been launched by children in both countries. And this was a few months ago, the same little girl who was in the prior picture looking up at some of the trees that she helped to plant 9 years ago. Our pasture had returned to forest. So what we're looking toward now, oh, and the springs had returned. There were springs all over the land. And when you again look at that satellite image in the beginning, you can see how that particular piece of property stood out from everything else in the landscape. So we're continuing to work in this community, and just last month gave 6,000 trees to smallholders, and an additional 10,000 are going in this month. And we are also starting to support projects in other areas, helping to build a small nursery in the state of Pará, in Amazonia, because of some of the new field partners that you're about to hear about. But I also wanted to show a method that was used in one of our other planting sites, also in the state of Sao Paulo, where quite often people would use herbicides to take down the grass. Well, in our case, the grass was our ally. The grass was simply cut, the long grass, the brachiaria that everybody tried to get rid of, and instead that was the main fertilizer for the soil, for the trees. And this is a 2-year growth report of some of our plants. And we continue these practices, but now we have a variety of practices to work with because of the new field partners I'm associated with, who are again with us in Santiago today. They worked with an organic farm called Fazenda da Toca that had been highlighted in the book Drawdown as multi-strata agroforestry solution number 28. And at the time I got to know these people, they were working for Fazenda da Toca, where they would plant long grass and even eucalyptus to use to create biomass to feed the soil. And eucalyptus can be a scourge because of the many plantations that we have, particularly in Brazil, where we have dead forests that are heavily treated with pesticides, and the soil is dead, and the pollinators are dying, and the water has been poisoned. But there are ways in which we can use the eucalyptus that have seeded themselves freely in many areas as allies, and one of those ways is by chop and drop, using them to help build the soil. So in the case of Fazenda da Toca, they had managed to turn sandy soil into this beautiful, rich humus for their agroforestry work. And building upon that, our field partners from Preta Terra have moved forward. There we go. And they have done some wonderful data about the carbon sequestration potential in the various types of landscape. And so at the moment, we're mainly focused on pasture lands. And I can refer you directly to them, and also we have a poster here in the hallway so that you can learn a bit more about the way they're going about things. Their soil regeneration for coffee agroforestry poster is available for you to look at. There's quite a bit of information on that poster because they are bringing in additional methods that draw as well from the Terra Preta, the practices that are old indigenous practices and practices that rural people have been using there for eons. So to bring it forward into a regenerative future, these young, dynamic people really require our support. And so I'm hoping that by sharing some of their work with all of you, it's going to open some new doors of possibility for the future. We have the ability to scale massively. We now have waiting lists of hundreds of smallholders in rural Brazil who are hoping that we will be able to continue to bring trees to them. And when we do this, we're supporting smallholders, small local entrepreneurs, small local NGOs, and again, we are not connected with or being funded by any governments or large entities. This is citizen initiative through and through, but in order to be able to scale, we do need to grow our basis of support. So I would love to speak with you some more about this. I GiveTrees from the United States, Preta Terra in Brazil. Muchísimas gracias.